What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we have a special interview actually with the founder of NFT.com. Now, you might be wondering, what is NFT.com? What are these guys looking to do? There's all these other options. You know, we could trade on OpenSea and Rarible. There's all these different blockchains. What is NFT.com trying to do specifically? Well, that's what I wanted to go over today because these guys have a very unique vision for the future of NFTs, and it's definitely something you're going to want to stick around for. So make sure you guys drop comments below. Let me know what you think. And without further ado, here is an interview with Jordan Freed, the founder of NFT.com. All right, so we are here with Jordan Freed. He is the founder of NFT.com. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. How are you doing today?
Hey, Dubs, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. So first of all, like just getting it straight out of the way, we need to talk about what exactly is NFT.com. What is this all about? Why are you excited about it? Why should we be excited about it? And a lot of people know I don't usually do interviews, so there must be something special about this one. So let's dive into it right now.
1,000%. Listen, we've the elephant in the room, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. There is a turf war happening for control over the internet right now. Web 2, we've had these amazing large tech behemoths, trillion-dollar companies, multi-hundred billion-dollar companies fighting to control literally how we assign value and how we exchange it. We can't let Zuckerberg and Facebook control the metaverse. We can't pay 47.5% fees on everything that we do. There is a better way. Web3 technology has introduced the ability for us to create a totally different relationship that a user or creator has with a platform. And K-Dubs, I think you and other YouTubers understand that better than most. A lot of you have suffered through demonetization. You've suffered through random algorithm changes by Google from a search engine optimization perspective. There is a better way with more transparency. That is what Web3 technology allows us to do. NFT.com is the first platform among this new cohort of Web3 designed decentralized platforms, really where users and creators are empowered and are in control. First, we start with re-architecting the relationship you have with that platform. When you sign up, it's not a username and password or an email and a password. You mint your identity on NFT.com. You can come and mint K-Dubs or come and mint Crypto Zombie or come and mint Jordan or whatever your name or brand is. You mint it as an NFT. You log in with that NFT, right? You log in. Now, what are you logging into? What is NFT.com? You're logging into first a profile. If you're a collector, that's where you display everything you have for sale. If you're a creator, that's where you'll display everything you have for sale or all the NFTs that you've collected. All of this integrates into a decentralized NFT marketplace, which is really important to note, where I do think we can improve. We need better data in the sector. We do, and we need better ways to onboard and empower people to be in control. So that's the vision. That is what NFT.com is, a platform for creators by creators, totally decentralized.
Now, like obviously you guys have the domain NFT.com. We know that that's amazing for SEO. You know, somebody goes NFT, boom, you come up at the top. I understand where you're coming from, but there is competition out there from guys like OpenSea. And, you know, some of the viewers might even be saying, well, why do we need another one of these? What's going to make this one so much more special? Sort of what is our value proposition for me as the user, you know, to even check out NFT.com? What are some of the, you know, things that we can kind of look forward to and why you think that this is a better alternative?
Great point. And just to start off, right, let's just look at some of the other marquee crypto brands out there. You've got Bitcoin.com, you've got blockchain.com, you've got crypto.com already on the side of a stadium. You know, just as a pausing thought for a second, wouldn't it be cool if a DAO, there's DAOs to buy golf courses, there's DAOs to buy professional sports franchises. Wouldn't it be cool if a DAO led platform like NFT.com helped get, you know, NFT.com on the side of a stadium? That'd be amazing. You're right. It's amazing from an SEO perspective. It's an exact match domain name. It should get a lot of traffic. I come from the SEO space. I really love thinking about organic keywords and being able to capture a lot of that. And I think that's going to be a big part of our growth strategy. But when you talk about differentiation, you have to break it into three categories. There's creators, there's Web3 native people, and then there's mom and grandma who have never touched crypto or a blockchain ever. And we need to consider them as well. when you're thinking about creators, it's unbelievable, K-Dubs, that in our conversations with creators, you'd fall out of your chair if you've heard some of the stuff that they share with us. Before ever starting to write a line of code for the platform, we got to meet some unbelievable people. Evan, Mackenzie, Poopy, the folks behind the Doodles, the people behind Yuga Labs, the World of Women collection, all of these incredible NFT creators that have created collections that are frankly doing hundreds of thousands of ETH in transaction volumes on OpenSea. Of course, OpenSea takes a 2.5% of all of that, right?
That is a question I have actually coming up for you. I not to cut you off. I was curious, what is the incentive from your end? Is there, are you working with brands? Have brands showed interest? Is there like a bid war going? How does that work for you guys? Why even do this for you?
Let me answer that in a second. But first, let's talk about the creator, because the creator is as important as the brand, because the brands are creators. These brands own creations, right? If you're talking about Mattel, they've created Hot Wheels and Barbie, and they've got amazing intellectual property. Nike, an amazing apparel line, right? You've got to put the creator first. You've got to make it easier and create a better relationship with the platform. And that is not the case in Web 2, right? Even the top creators in the world, I don't care if you're Pampers and Huggies selling diapers on Amazon. If you get really good at selling diapers on Amazon, Jeff Bezos white labels a diaper company or a diaper brand.
Amazon Basics, and then there you go, right?
Exactly, Amazon Basics. This is what happens when there's a rent seeker in a marketplace that isn't controlled for the users, where users don't have protections. When Google randomly updates an algorithm, users have no recourse, no action to take. So first, you need a better creator feature set. If you want to talk to somebody, great. You need an account manager, right? You need someone to talk to. And I think the economics can be different too. And maybe we'll touch on that in a second. So if you optimize for the creator, if you optimize for someone who's Web3 native, we think they need better data tools. Data is so fragmented in the space. The OG traders are looking at Dune Analytics, rarity tools, Trait Sniper. They've got a million different extensions. Just try to figure out if one doodle, what the rarity is. Is it a top 500 doodle? Is it a top 5,000 doodle? Where does it fit out of the 10,000 collection? That's got to be made a lot easier. And then for someone who's not in the space at all, we've got to get this to the point where we're onboarding new users to Web3 in general for under $5 in under 5 minutes. We obviously hope that NFT.com is a big part of that and is an on-ramp. I think there's under 10 million people in the entire world today who have ever purchased an NFT. It's probably even under 5. If we look at where this is going, it'll be 100 million in a few short years and eventually 1 billion people. If you are lucky enough to be alive in a decade's time, you will own an NFT in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And like, it has been a bit of a more of a grassroots movement right now, but then you have seen like the celebrities getting involved and you are seeing bigger names. That's why I was asking you about if you were seeing any brand interest as of right now. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. The brand
interest is like, that's the thing. Cause some people say, oh, is it just a flash in the pan? I mean, are brands actually interested truly in this NFT movement, or is it just kind of something that they,
we haven't seen true enterprise adoption of NFTs. We see brands dipping their toes in the water, maybe a Barbie drop here or like a liquor company drop there, but we haven't really seen the full deployment of it. That is changing. There are literally professional sports franchises worth billions of dollars now thinking about raising money for new stadiums by crowdfunding through selling personal seat licenses as NFTs. I can confirm that, right? We've been in some of those conversations. There are unbelievable entertainment and ticketing companies that throw concerts that are attended by 50 to 100,000 people, and music festivals with 500,000 people in attendance, looking at making NFTs for your membership, for your interest there. And the use cases really go on. We're talking about title deeds to properties. We're talking about the opportunity to onboard quite literally everything of value in the physical world, representing it in the digital world in the form of a token. That is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity that will likely eclipse even the size of the crypto markets, right? I think the entire market cap for NFTs one day, if you aggregate it all together, I do think will be larger than Bitcoin, right? We're talking about
that's a bold statement, man.
It's a bold statement, but think about it for a second, K-Dubs. If you talk about everyone who plays MMOs, right? If you talk about everyone who, it's a sword, it's a shield, it's a It's a piece of metaverse land. It's a
Mhm.
piece of real land in real life. It's not just digital value and intangible metaverse value.
That's where I come from. Not to cut you off, Jordan, but for me personally, I do think outside of just pictures of apes and things like that, and that's great right now. But you think of all the possibilities, prenuptial agreements, land deeds, titles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really endless, and you really cut out that middleman. And unfortunately, a lot of people may end up losing a job in the future over that. But imagine having that right to your property, your information, your data, your agreements, your contracts, and things like that in the form of NFTs. I think it's so much bigger than just having a collectible.
You're wearing a Bitcoin hat, so let's just go back to Bitcoin.
I got to wear the Bitcoin hat, man.
I love it. I love it. We wouldn't even be here having this conversation if it wasn't for Bitcoin, right? It's changed my life in more ways than I can even admit. So if you just look at Bitcoin started as something that a bunch of people talked about on a bunch of internet forums. It was very reactionary to the 2008 financial crisis. For those that remember, a bunch of huge financial institutions that are too big to fail took us to the verge of a financial Armageddon and then got bailed out. A bunch of people, cyberpunks, CryptoPunks, whatever you want to call them, on the internet got really upset with that moment in history and figured out that there could be a better way. If blockchain and Bitcoin really formed the internet of money, NFTs formed the internet of everything else, or the internet of value. It is the internet of everything. And that opportunity is frankly bigger than money, I think, because we've got programmable money. We've got these smart contracts to exchange money, but now we're talking about value. We're talking about everything. We're talking about a book, a CD, any form of intellectual property, right? And we can now assign attestation rights. If you're a DJ and you create a really good, riff that gets included in someone else's song, we can pay you for that, right? If you add some information that informs, an AI or a machine learning algorithm, we can compensate you for that contribution every time that AI or machine learning algorithm uses your contribution. This is so exciting.
No, I agree. I used to be, for people know, I used to be in a band. I used to travel and tour and stuff. And, we were on a smaller record label, but, you'd play a show and then you'd realize that pretty much all the proceeds are going to the record label. And, you see a lot of these guys now taking advantage of the internet. Imagine just saying, screw their label. I'm dealing directly with the fans. Here's my album. Here's my songs, my NFTs. The royalties are in there for resell, whatever you want to set the parameters to in the contract. I think that is here to stay. I agree with you. That is definitely not going away.
You can't unsee it. Once you see it and once you're woke to it, you realize there's 14,000 people in the world that make more than $50,000 on Spotify. That is a problem. Now, it's not just Spotify's fault, right? That is legacy, organizational structure of the music industry today, but we are disintermediating with this technology. We're disintermediating middle people. I don't just say middlemen, right? We're disintermediating middle everybody. Anyone who is a broker in between. One of my favorite examples of just like Bitcoin in general, it was a kid, like a drunk kid on college game day, Saturday morning in front of a football game. And he goes like, "Hey mom, send Bitcoin." Maybe you remember this, on a big sign, and then Reddit optimized it and people started sending him money from all over the world.
I do remember that. Yeah.
It's a cute story. And, that kid did very well. I think he got like $35,000 worth of Bitcoin. But if you go back and just like symbolically, what did that represent? It's the first time in human history, Bitcoin, the first time in human history that we could send money to someone on the opposite side of the globe without going to use PayPal, without using Venmo, without using a bank, without any financial institution. No one is in control over that. We are in control over that. A totally decentralized, censorship-free form of money and exchange of value. If you want to make a donation to people in Ukraine right now, let's say the Ukrainian conflict was happening in 2008, you would have to give money to the Red Cross and they take 10 cents out of every dollar like they do. The Ukrainian government has a Bitcoin wallet now. You can send money directly to the Ukrainian government with the Bitcoin wallet, and they can use it to buy it with no one taking. So if you look at that and then look at value exchange, we won't need closing agents and escrow agents to close on homes and apartments. We'll just be able to say, hey, I put my money in the smart contract, put the NFT representing the title deed to the property in the smart contract, and let's atomically swap those things. It is going to entirely disrupt how we sell real estate.
And the thing that I love, which got me into Bitcoin originally, was it's finally something that I actually own. You
Yeah.
think you own your house, but that's just where they let you keep your shoes and pants. I mean, it's not really your house. Like if they wanted to, they could freeze the accounts, they can take your land, they really can do all that. If
Yeah.
you have your wallet with your private keys, that essentially is your true property, right? You can, so you could store it up here. But I do want to keep talking about this. It's just a lot of people on the channel. I realize I didn't really formally introduce you. I mean, people are probably like, who is this guy talking? Now,
I'm crazy, aren't I?
It's crazy. Well, you could tell by the way that you speak, you've definitely been in the space. And it's weird because you used to you were a part of Hedera. We'll get involved in that. We had done an interview with Mance Harmon on the channel previously. Some of my viewers would remember that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was wondering real quick, like if you could just give us a little rundown super quick, like how did you get into this? How did you go from stage A to where we are now? And why is NFT sort of the final destination for you? How did we get along this journey here?
You can see I have a lot of energy for the space, and K-Dubs, I'm sorry if I go off on rants or tangents. I'm fired up.
Oh no, you should watch my channel. That's why I just rant for a half hour. That's why my viewers come here.
I have watched your videos. You do a really good job putting them together. So I think I'm in the right place.
Thank you.
But I'm a boy from Buffalo with a chip on both shoulders. I grew up in a really big family, one of 10 kids. And I really got a head start because my father is a tech nerd. He was actually a Trekkie, like live long.
Me too, bro. I love that. Yo, seriously.
Yeah, I grew up watching Star Trek. I built motherboards with my dad in the basement. My dad was a suit too, like an IBM business partner, and did a bunch of stuff, but he used to have a company called the Tech Shop where he'd literally sell computers out of the basement. And then started an application service provider, internet service provider in Buffalo, and did a bunch of stuff. I got to grow up around that. So my life was playing Duke Nukem on DOS operating systems and trying to figure out how to build my own DOS applications. I learned how to build at least the front end of web pages. I'm not a full-blown programmer, but I'm a hacker. I could hack together a bunch of early stuff. And then, my brothers and sisters, we got into gaming. Like we literally had like a computer lab style setup where we had a bunch of computers set up on like folding tables. They're all throughout the house. And we'd play this game. It was called RuneScape. And RuneScape was this MMORPG for those that don't know. And we have these macros, which were these computer programs that would literally click and play the game for us. And we would level up these characters. And one of my first like forays into digital currency a decade before Bitcoin, because you asked, how did I get into this space? This is like the precursor to me understanding what a digital currency native to a blockchain was and how that's different to digital currency in general, because we've had digital currency for decades before blockchain, but this is a digital currency created by a game company. And I realized, whoa, a lot of people, I'm 12 years old at the time, a lot of people will spend real money for this fake game money. So I got an eBay account. I lied about my age, got an eBay account. I started selling RuneScape gold points on eBay. It started going really fast. And I'm like, hey, there's a business here. So I bought runemint.com, named after RuneScape, and started selling RuneScape gold points.
You did this all at age 12?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm.
If I told you what I was doing at age 12, it's okay. Anyway, continue. That's crazy. Wow.
I mean, I was also playing with like plastic, like little toy plastic soldiers. Like the ones from Toy Story. But like,
yeah.
So I also, when I figured out how to build a web page. I figured out how to do all of this. And
so you had a gold hustle going.
Yeah. So I started this gold hustle coming. It starts blowing up. I go to middle school. We come home. We're sold out. We made like $500. Go to middle school again, and sell out, and we're made $1,000. This blows up. It gets super huge. It runs for like 90 days. The knock on the door comes, and I got sued by Jagex Limited, a multi-billion-dollar game company behind it. And I quickly learned what intellectual property is. Whoa. Intellectual property. There's a company that owns the intellectual property. Now I have a lot of respect for intellectual property. I had no idea what it was at 12 years old. So I'm in a lot of trouble. I get a lifetime ban from PayPal, eBay, and from RuneScape, which I cried about. And when the company found out how old I was, they dropped charges. Like I wasn't facing anything criminal, but I was facing something civil where they didn't like what I was doing. It's called RWT in the gaming community, real world trading. But that really was a foundational experience for me. That's one of those things that like you never forget. And now decades later, right? Literally 2 decades later, I can look back on that and laugh about it and tell the story on a YouTube channel. But like, whoa, that was psychologically disturbing for me as 12 years old. I was like very afraid of big internet companies. End up moving did not go a traditional path, dropped out of school, moved to Budapest, Hungary, quickly realized, whoa, the internet outside the US, not fair. It's not good. There's no US IP address. You're not logging into Spotify. You're not getting Pandora. You can't watch Netflix. At least in 2010, you couldn't watch Netflix outside the US. Couldn't stream any of it. learned what a VPN was, and built my own VPN service called Buffered VPN. It was niche. I'll be honest with you, small. I was just serving friends and family, right? Anyone who would sign up for VPN subscription. But we became notable, and we were one of the first consumer VPN companies to start taking Bitcoin as a payment method. And that's because someone emailed me and said, hey, there's this internet money thing. I want to pay you in it. And who am I to say no? I'm like, hey, pay me in whatever you want to pay me. So we started taking Bitcoin as a payment method. Never sold the Bitcoin. There was nowhere to sell Bitcoin back then outside of Magic the Gathering online exchange. And it was really difficult to take Bitcoin. And you didn't even know what the price was, right? There wasn't like a free floating like price index even at that point. It was like Charlie Shrem and Magic the Gathering online exchange trying to do price discovery. And I'm building my VPN company. I'm trying to make $1 million. I want to grow it really big. And finally, fast forward in 2017, I'm 27 years old, get this offer, sell the company, keep the Bitcoin, move to New York. And funny, you mentioned Mance Harmon. 4 days after moving to New York, I meet Mance Harmon, and I end up spending, it was a 1 hour meeting. I ended up spending, and Mance will confirm this for you, I ended up spending 8 hours with Mance, and I took my chips and I went all in. I'm like, Hashgraph. Wow, this is unbelievable. Wrote a check into their company, which back then was called Swirlds, really contingent on, let me come help you do a blockchain on Hashgraph. So I came to the project as an investor. There was no name Hedera back then. There was no HBAR. It was an algorithm Hashgraph. I was the fourth person to come to the project. I helped hire our lawyer, Natalie Furman, the entire team. And Mance treated me like a peer, like a lot of credit to Mance. I was 27 years old, boy from Buffalo without a college degree, who just spent like 8 years in Budapest. Like, who is this kid? And never treated me that way. My job there was to lead business development and help build the world's first enterprise DAO, build a governing council around the Hashgraph algorithm. Kind of sounds like an intergalactic council, but like that's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's this council of Google, IBM, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom, LG Electronics, Nomura, Shinhan Bank. I mean, imagine this, like 27-year-old kid from Buffalo, no college degree, in a Macy's suit, in a boardroom, literally pitching Thomas Kurian, 22-year president of Oracle, became the CEO of Google Cloud after him and Larry Ellison, the billionaire, had a falling out. And he's listening to me pitch him to join the Hedera governing council. I'm pinching myself, but I got to pitch, and you can kind of see I can pitch. Being one of 10 kids, you learn how to pitch. It's kind of like a survival. It's kind of like a survival mechanism. And, closed Google, did all of that, and help Mance and Lehman execute on their vision. Like, love those guys. It's their vision. I'm not a co-founder of Hedera. Never claimed to be a co-founder. So anyone out there calling me a co-founder, they are mistaken. I'm part of the founding team. I was early in the project. And first and foremost, I was an investor. I was actually never really supposed to work there. I wrote a check and ended up working there. It worked for free. I worked for what became called HBAR. And I got paid back in HBAR, which is cool.
And then now, cut to.
cut to. So here, I'm in Puerto Rico because I'm like a libertarian and I won't get into politics. And I like smaller government and stuff like that. But this is an incredible island, Isla de Encanto. And we are building NFT.com. And NFT.com is, I totally would have screwed this up, K-dubs, in my 20s, right? In my 20s, I was a know-it-all, had a big ego. Working with Mance and Lehman definitely helped me with my emotional maturity. Mance used to have this saying, nothing's ever as good as it seems. Nothing is ever as bad as it seems, because I was always off the charts. Like, we got to go. We got to launch the blockchain now. And he's like, not yet. Mm-hmm. He was more the steady hand. And I really learned a lot, more temperament and, some leadership from him as well. These guys were like 20 plus years in the military. So with like captain status title.
Oh.
You learn a lot by working with some older people. So I have amazing mentors, and I have a lot of people smaller than me on kind of like my personal board of directors, if you will. And with NFT.com, I recognized this was too good of a domain name to belong to Jordan Fried, right? It can't belong to one dude. It can't belong to one company. It's got to belong to everyone listening to this. It's got to be a public utility, like a blockchain that anyone could use and anyone could benefit from. But more importantly, that people would know that they have protection because they have a voice in that community, unlike YouTube, unlike TikTok, unlike Instagram.
And that's what makes it different, is it's not actually centralized. I mean, yes, you have the domain NFT.com, but for anyone out there, essentially, I think actually most people probably watching right now are wondering, like, how can I even get involved? Like, what is this? How can I get involved in this? But like you were saying, the value proposition of this is the decentralization. So, for example, you go to NFT.com, right? You have
Yeah.
your Ethereum wallet. What is actually happening in the background? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what's actually happening in the background, you got to genesis all of this, right? Bitcoin Genesis block, January 3rd, 2009, right? Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he, she, they, that collective is, launched the Bitcoin blockchain with the Genesis block. Fun fact for those listening, you definitely know this, K-Dubs, but like, hey, if you want to sound smart at a cocktail party, tell your friends, go look up the encrypted message in the Genesis block.
Chancellor on the brink of
Yeah,
bailout. Yeah.
second bailout. I like to give that as a gift. I actually have it right here in my office. And it's a front cover of the Times in the UK for those listening. An unbelievable message and a really symbolic moment. Again, Bitcoin started like very ideologically driven. NFT.com, exactly the same. If you're listening to this and you like the ideology, this is an open invitation to join us. If you also don't like what I'm saying, same open invitation. Come join us and leave your imprint on it and help us change the ideas if you want to make them stronger. But somehow you had to launch Gmail. Somehow you had to launch Facebook. Somehow you had to launch Google. And if you go look at Web 2 product launches, they are going to differ from Web 3 product launches. The way we decided to do a Web 3 launch is first, we need to stand up the DAO. It's the most important thing here. And the way we do that is with our equivalent of a Genesis block. We call it a Genesis key. There's 10,000 Genesis keys. It's the Genesis block of NFT.com. And if you have a Genesis key, you are forever a co-founder of the NFT.com platform and community. You have governance rights. You're the first to mint 2 profiles. You can mint NFT.com/KDubs or Crypto Zombie or Jordan, or again, whatever your brand is. You get to mint those and own those as an NFT. You'll have 3 NFTs, the Genesis key and those 2 profiles. You want to sell them on OpenSea or LooksRare, go do it. They're ERC 721s. You can go do that. If you hold them, you're a community member. You can update that profile. You can help be a beta tester as we roll out new features. You can say, whoa, we got to prioritize integrating Solana or Hedera Hashgraph or Polygon or the other chains so that we can support more NFTs. Our vision is multi-protocol. We'll support NFTs wherever NFTs exist. So that's important. So that's how you start it. That's how you get involved. If you're listening to this on April 26th, that's Tuesday. So that's in a couple of days from the time of, recording this or, what we're doing here. But on April 26th, you can go get your Genesis key. We're doing a Genesis key auction. I can talk about the mechanics if you think.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I want to point out to everybody watching, like this isn't like a token sale or anything like that. There is no. We're not trying to sell anything. It's nothing like that. It's just a matter of essentially the equivalent of we had the .com boom, and neverpets.com and all that. Essentially, really, what you're looking into is owning domain in a sense, right? NFT.com / profile domain, whatever, but something that you do truly own that's yours. You have the key for it. And that's the whole idea behind this.
It's your membership. It's like
you're kind of giving people early access to potentially, the not the next internet, but you know what I mean? Like,
so Zuckerberg decided that all of his classmates with a harvard.edu email address would be able to sign up for Facebook, and you only harvard.edu until they expanded to Princeton and the other Ivy League schools, right? We knew that we needed our harvard.edu equivalent. Who's our test bed? We want those people to be ideologically driven like we are and agree with our ideas, which is why I'm so philosophical about how I believe the internet in its current form is flawed and how we need to build it better. If you like those ideas, if you agree with that vision, we need you, right? Those are creators. Those are collectors. Some of them are billionaires already. Some of them are low key, just, people trying to get started and trying to make their first million in Web3. We need all of it. We need those diverse voices in our ecosystem to build something better. This isn't a PFP drop. This isn't like a Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, Doodle, something like that. You're probably not going to make this your profile picture. If you want to, cool. It's literally a virtual key that unlocks your experience on the NFT.com platform. It's how you access the platform. It's how you govern. I've never seen anything like it. Yes, if you buy the global membership to Links DAO, you are, buying a membership to a virtual golf course that doesn't exist and may one day be a future golf course. Or WAGMI United, they're trying to buy a Premier League football team. Like maybe you like that. If you like the idea of maybe being on the board of directors of Twitter, well, here's your opportunity. Buy a Genesis key and do that. So I'm not telling you to do that, but if you like it, if you are aligned with that, I think that's how Web3 platforms are going to launch in the future. Very similar to how we're launching. Build the community first. Make sure that community is all aligned in what the vision is, and let's do it together. Open product roadmap. Everything we're building, open source, open license. All of those things are really important considerations for community building.
Yeah, no,
And
that's awesome. I actually
yeah,
really, like Bitcoin again. I really do appreciate the open source thing. That's like the whole Jack Mallers thing. Everyone thought that was specific to Strike, but it's
yeah,
not. It's just on Strike now. But hey, if you want to use it on yours, go ahead. Here you go.
yep,
We're not
yep,
trying to,
exactly right.
we're not trying to compete with anyone. What you're trying to do essentially is build the community. You're just trying to, help with the building blocks. But really, like you said, it is the DAO. It's the users. It's the people, the brands, the companies, whoever that are really going to push this forward,
Yeah. You
essentially.
know what the big shock to A16Z is going to be? First, Bored Apes makes up at least 1/10, maybe 1/5 of all the volume on OpenSea right now, right? It's an astonishing amount of that.
Yeah.
A16Z has the idea wrong. The value is not in OpenSea.io. The value is in the NFT community. The value is in creators. The value is in collectors. The value is in traders, people who are speculating in this space. It's in the network effects around it. The value in Uber is not the Uber application. It's the fact that when you open it, there's drivers waiting to provide rides, and there's people looking for rides, and it's a matching service to bring those two together. There will be a Web3 version of that without a rent seeker in between, right? There's going to be. If you look at that from the NFT perspective, what I think is going to astonish VCs is that, the one, they're getting it wrong. Two, they're funding Web2 companies that are really just putting lipstick on, pretending to be Web3 companies. And the opportunity here is to say, no, we need a DAO, because if we get so big and the platform gets so big and we're dependent on that platform for income, and that platform arbitrarily decides to, one, white label like Amazon Basics, or two, change the algorithm like YouTube does and Google does for search engine results pages and YouTube results pages, we need recourse. We need the ability. So even if you're like, hey, I don't even vote for president, I don't care about showing up to a DAO to vote, that's fine. You don't have to show up to a DAO to vote. You don't have to participate. Keep trading your NFTs, keep collecting your NFTs. But if shit goes wrong, excuse my language, if
Oh, you're all good.
goes wrong, if shit goes wrong, you want a place to show up and reverse the decision. You need to be in control. That's the NFT.com difference.
Absolutely, man. So, well, I wanted to say thank you for coming on the show, the channel. I do appreciate it. Everyone that has stuck around. Is there anything that you kind of want to like leave my viewers with? Anything important we should know about? Something that you really want to sort of say, or anything?
Yeah, well, listen, NFT, I really believe in the bifurcated model. I think a lot of people have probably listened up into this point like, yo, that guy's a whack job. He's in Puerto Rico. He's probably a little bit of a kook. Let me be a little bit realistic and just like leave the viewers, the audience with this. I do believe in what I call the bifurcated model. When you're looking at building crypto companies, you're looking at opportunities in the crypto space, the Web3 space. I really do think it's important to have a DAO, but I think that the ability for a for-profit company, you mentioned Jack Mallers and Strike, to be able to make executive decisions and move fast and build stuff, that's equally important. Look at the Ethereum Foundation and Consensus. On the day that Vitalik and friends incorporated the Ethereum Foundation in Switzerland, Joe Lubin, another Ethereum founder, incorporated a company called Consensus, spelled SYS at the end. Consensus is the for-profit company that gave us MetaMask. It's the for-profit company that gave us Infura. It's the for-profit company that does consulting around the Ethereum network. Ethereum probably wouldn't be Ethereum today unless there was that Consensus driving that go-to-market. I'm very ideologically driven in that the platform that we're building on should be open source. It should be open license. I think that Twitter should open source its algorithm. I think Google should open source its ranking algorithms, right? But I also believe that we need for-profit companies like Consensus to be able to build up the space. So if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, no, I'm not a communist. I'm a red-blooded capitalist, just like anyone else out there. I do see revenue generating and capitalistic opportunities, but we need DAOs, and the opportunity around DAOs is building up amazing infrastructure and amazing businesses around a blockchain. So, hey, get in the space if you're not in it already. If you're not working in it full time, there's so many opportunities for engineers, creators, everyone. And hey, man, Crypto Zombie, hopefully it's not the last conversation, but the first of many. So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I really, really appreciate this. Like I said, I very rarely do interviews. And for everyone out there wondering, well, what was the incentive? Number one, I think this is just a cool idea. I really like I like your history. I like that you're not just some, random guy that just jumped on the craze. You actually have experience, which is why I thought going into your crazy background story at 12 years old, which is probably one of the craziest things I've ever heard. And, anyone who thinks, this isn't a sponsored interview, I should have said that at the beginning. You guys know I don't do that on this channel. However, you guys have said that I can get Crypto Zombie So I'm gonna
Yes.
at least have nft.com/crypto zombie so that
Gotta
you
have
guys
that.
know, because it's too many scammers out there. Got to get verified. And also, just to be honest, like not throwing it out there, but I don't want to give you guys ideas, but a lot of people, even you saw just flipping domains and stuff. I mean, I don't know why people want to get involved. I want to get in it because I want to own my key. I want to be crypto zombie. But you know what, man? If you want to try to bid for something, try to sell it to some guys down the road, do your thing. But either way, I could definitely see this being really exciting in the space. It definitely is something you don't see quite often. It's not trying to pitch a token. It's not trying to sell you something. It's just saying, hey, here's just a better way of doing the things that are inevitably going to be here anyway. It's not going anywhere, like what eBay did for, auctions and stuff like that.
Right.
It's on that same level. So yeah, Jordan, thanks so much, man. Obviously, always welcome on the channel. I can't wait to see NFT.com grow. I really am truly excited for what that actually does become. Right now, the whitelist is available, everybody. If you guys are watching, check it out, get involved. And like you said, really, before we go, it's a fair auction, right? I mean,
fair auction. Just real quick, the auction mechanism is this. It's not a cash grab, guys. We have to start the ecosystem. This was our idea on how to start it. So this is what's going to happen. Everyone on the whitelist can bid. 3,000 people are going to win, but they're going to pay the price of the first loser. So everyone's paying the same price and everyone is paying less than what they bid. The first loser is a 3,000 in first bid. Okay. The median of that is the price of the remaining 7,000 or so keys. It's 6,750 because we kept 250 keys, not for ourselves. I only have one key, but to give to really strategic people, creators, influencers, unbelievable people to really help us out. So if you like these ideas, fair auction starts on April 26th, runs for 48 hours. Get involved, go to nft.com, join the whitelist, and hope to see you in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again, Jordan. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your beautiful weather in Puerto Rico. I'm out here in New York. It's getting there. It's getting a little better. But, I'm realizing now that, after going to these places like Dubai around the world, I'm like, what the hell am I still doing here? I'm surprised that they don't have me have to get a bit license just to run this channel at this point. I'm surprised they haven't pushed that. So
I'm surprised too, man. You and me both.
All right. So thanks a lot, guys. Definitely check it out. NFT.com. You kind of can't forget it. Links below. I'll drop a link below in the description. And if you guys want to get involved in the auction, yep, you know where to do that. So thanks again, Jordan, and I'll see you guys later. So thanks so much if you guys made it all the way to the end of the video. You are awesome. You're amazing. Shout out to Jordan. Thank you so much for coming onto the channel. Very interesting story. So yeah, we'll have to see how NFT.com is. But if you guys want, you can join the whitelist. Go down here, get involved. They are giving away some of these keys. So could be an opportunity, guys. But that being said, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. And if you haven't seen these videos that are popping up right here, right now, check them out. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.